For your ears only for the week of August 17th and another birthday for me, I'm David Alpern.
I'm Melissa Exelberth with a quote from the news. "You're welcome. I'm awesome." That was Texas Governor Rick Perry, pumped after being thanked for a speech at the candidate-friendly Iowa State Fair. He also shook the hand of a 10-year-old girl there so hard she couldn't feel her fingers. Later last week, Perry was indicted by a grand jury for abuse of power by cutting funds to state prosecutors probing public corruption. Now this.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
You may no longer be in the area. It is no longer a peaceful protest.
Today, I'm announcing that the Missouri Highway Patrol, under the supervision of Captain Ron Johnson, who grew up in this area, will be directing the team that provides security in Ferguson.
A white patrolman's fatal shooting of an unarmed black teenager, Michael Brown, in largely black Ferguson, Missouri, led to days of outrage, violent protest, and military-style police counterforce last week until Governor Jay Nixon turned command over to state troopers under the leadership of a sympathetic, charismatic black captain. That night was peaceful, but violence erupted again after local police finally identified the cop who killed Brown, but also released photos, video, and police reports indicating the 18-year-old, just about to enter college, had just been involved in the strong-arm theft of small cigars, though exactly how that related to his death remained to be fully explained.
The fury in Ferguson and police killings from New York to New Mexico, Miami to Beaver Creek, Ohio, raised nationwide concerns over excessive force in law enforcement and over continuing racial tensions between police and communities they are meant to protect. To consider these issues for your ears only, we're joined by Eugene O'Donnell, a professor at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, after service as an NYPD police officer, police academy instructor, and district attorney's office prosecutor. Welcome to the program. With no pictures or video of Brown's killing, we have competing accounts that he was shot after trying to grab patrolman Darren Wilson's gun or while raising his hands and pleading, "Don't shoot me." If the first situation is proved, would that give the officer reason to shoot even if he saw the boy was unarmed?
Yeah, if it's clear that the individual is unarmed and he is surrendering, obviously a shooting would be violative of the law. The difficulty you have with police officer situations is they have broad authority to use force. And when a police officer says, I was fearful and articulate some reason to have that fear, that's always a difficulty. The officer does not know the ending. We know the ending. The officer doesn't know the ending. So that's always a complicating factor, complicated even still further by this appearance of this video.
Does it matter that Wilson did not know Brown was a robbery suspect when first confronting him over blocking traffic, but later saw cigars in his hand and made the connection?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the sequencing. I listened to the press conference, but I think the police would say why that matters is that while the officer may not have known about Brown's involvement, Brown knew about his involvement if he was indeed involved, and he would have acted in accordance with that involvement, being erratic, being suspicious, not being cooperative, or being assaultive. That's what the police would say, assuming that you credit any part of that account.
While investigation of the killing proceeds, let's turn to police procedures that followed. First, leaving the body in the street for hours, then mobilizing military-style crowd control. Many across the country and in Congress say too much military gear has gone to too many police departments without the training to really know when and how to use it. What's your view?
Well, it's unequivocally true. We have to reckon with that. 18,000 police departments, some great departments, some departments that are scary. And to be handing out weapons, we have to have serious strings attached. We have to have oversight. And local authorities can't really do it generally. So you can't just say, well, let the local town council do it. There has to be better oversight. But having said that, we have to also recognize that post 9/11, post the Boston marathon bombing, that it is a different environment. And while this week's story is about police not overly reacting, it's possible that next week's story will be about the police not reacting. So we can't lose our equilibrium. But yes, there are serious concerns about militarizing the police. It changes the ethos, which really should be service and de-escalation. So the serious consideration has to be given to reforming that whole DOD process.
What about the disparity between a majority black town and an almost solely white police force? How common is that these days? Does it inevitably shape police-community relations?
It does. I do think that police community relations are shaped mostly by the fact that we've disinvested in many American towns and cities, and there's not a whole lot on offer. And I think minority America is well aware we're sort of building a country where they're not included. And, the policing is sort of secondary to that reality. But obviously, the other thing that is quite obvious, the American police footprint's too big. They're overcharged with too many responsibilities. I think the chief said these guys were walking in the street the other day. I understand strategic decision-making about going after minor offenses, but we have to really reckon with if the police are going to constantly be having these conflicts with people, there is a likelihood of force being used in all of these situations. And we just keep passing laws and ordinances where they put the police directly in conflict with people.
How common and effective are racial sensitivity programs for police departments, whatever their racial composition?
They're helpful, but I think the transformation we hope to have in American policing, we'll all have to keep our hearts and minds and fingers crossed, is that the younger generation of people, and certainly in my experience, I think it's true. They're too sensible and wise to buy into the bigotry and racism of yesterday. Because I do believe in policing, the transformation has to come at the bottom, not at the top. Not preaching. People have to really believe it and see it and replicate it. And we have to drive out bigotry and racism. There has to be. You can have any politics you want. You can have any disagreement you want. But when people are using racial epithets or stereotypes, it's got to be cops who say that's not tolerable in our workplace. You can't be talking like that.
There's a growing call for more police officers to wear the tiny digital cameras now so readily available, so all their actions are on record, not subject to self-serving or hostile witness accounts. Some 1,200 officers around the country now reportedly are so equipped. Many departments already have cameras on their patrol cars. What's your view?
The cops tend to like them. Once they get them, they resist them initially. They tend to like them. I'm not sure citizens are going to like the fact that every interaction they have is on camera. There's a real big brother aspect to that, and I'm not sure it's the best interest of having a trusting relationship between the police and the community. And also, I have serious concerns that police departments may, and this is pretty common in the country, trouble on 12th Street will drive on 11th Street. So I'll have fewer adversarial encounters with people, and who's going to suffer? Public may suffer in that scenario.
How do you see high-profile incidents like Ferguson and the fatal chokehold on a large black man in New York suspected just of selling loose cigarettes? How does that fit into the overall image of police training, procedures, community relations in the years ahead?
None of it's helpful, but the only sure answer, again, which seems to be a non-starter, is to have a look in the mirror and recognize this is what the police do. They can talk to people, they can try to get people to cooperate and acquiesce, but the police are a force-oriented organization, and you simply can't be adding laws every year and increasing their mandate and pushing them forward and then being surprised, shocked, to find out some of these encounters end badly.
Eugene O'Donnell is a professor at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York after service as an NYPD police officer, police academy instructor, and district attorney's office prosecutor.
Next, shifting sands in Iraq, military and political, for your ears only.